Elon Musk has once again stunned the world, but this time it's not about rockets, cars, or AI. It's about faith itself. The billionaire has unveiled what he claims is the real image of Jesus Christ, and the discovery has left millions of speechless. For centuries, we've looked at paintings, statues, and stained glass portraits believing they captured Christ. But what if they were all wrong? Who have we really been looking at, and what does the real Jesus actually look like? Let's uncover the truth. The face of Jesus we all thought was real. For centuries, the image of Jesus has sparked endless debate. People passed down portraits and stories, but so much of it was built on belief rather than fact. You can't really know what someone looked like just because of what you've been told. And that's where Elon Musk stepped in. He leaned on history, research, and evidence to piece together what he claims is the real face of Christ. But here's the real question. If that's the case, what picture had the world been clinging to all this time? It started with a face that felt like it was always there, a calm face that seemed steady no matter where you saw it. It was there above a child's bed, there on the wall of a Sunday school room, there in a hospital chapel, and even in the waiting area of a police station. The eyes looked slightly upward, the hair fell softly, and a gentle glow circled the head. For decades in the 20th century, this was the face most people thought of when they thought of Jesus. What makes the story fascinating is that it didn't come from a famous painter in Europe or from some ancient relic dug up out of the desert. It came from a Chicago artist named Warner Sallman, who in 1940 painted an image he called Head of Christ. That single painting went on to shape what millions believe Jesus looked like for the rest of the century. Warner Sallman was not a world-famous artist when he created it. He was born and raised in Chicago, part of the Swedish Evangelical Covenant Church. His background was ordinary. He took night classes at the Art Institute, worked as an illustrator, and earned money through advertising and freelance jobs. But one late night in 1924, while struggling to come up with a cover design for his church's youth magazine, The Covenant Companion, something unusual happened. Exhausted and anxious, he prayed and then slipped into a restless doze. In that haze, he later said he saw an image in his mind. Around 2 a.m, he woke up, picked up his charcoal, and sketched a life-size drawing he called the Son of Man. Whatever the source of that vision, the drawing was published in the magazine later that year. People noticed it, but Sallman moved on. 16 years later, in 1940, he revisited the idea. This time, he painted a glowing oil version and titled it Head of Christ. That was the turning point. What began as a late-night sketch soon became the most recognized religious image in America. The next step came thanks to a group of students. Graduates at North Park Theological Seminary in Chicago asked Sallman to paint a version based on his 1924 sketch as their class gift. He did, but soon afterward, the original painting passed into the hands of 2 publishing men, Anthony Kriebel and Fred Bates. They were connected to the Gospel Trumpet Company in Anderson, Indiana. They decided to launch their own firm, Kriebel and Bates, with the goal of pushing Sallman's painting to a much wider audience. That decision changed everything. Once the publishers got involved, the painting left the small world of churches and classrooms and entered the world of mass production. Chicago offset printing used a 6-color separation method that captured the warm glow of Sallman's painting. That glow was part of what made people feel drawn to it. During the war years, the presses ran with 2 crews working around the clock. The numbers are staggering. The first 100,000 copies sold out in about 8 weeks. Within the first year, more than 1 million copies had been sold. By 1944, publishers recorded 14 million prints in circulation. The images came in every size. Families could buy small wallet cards, about 3.5 by 2.5 inches. Churches and YMCAs ordered wall-sized versions that reached 40 by 30 inches. The painting's reach exploded even further during World War II. Groups tied to the USO, especially the YMCA and the Salvation Army, printed pocket-sized versions for American troops. Soldiers slipped them into Bibles, helmets, wallets, and shirt pockets. A campaign called Christ in Every Purse, supported by Pastor Norman Vincent Peale and even President Dwight Eisenhower, sent millions more across the world. The idea was simple. Wherever a GI went, Jesus could go too. Those little cards became symbols of comfort on battlefields thousands of miles from home. When the war ended, the image followed veterans back home. Civic groups in states like Indiana and Oklahoma pushed to place Sallman's portrait in public spaces. In Illinois, a Lutheran leader encouraged card-carrying Christians as a counter to card-carrying communists. In 1962, a photo shows Vice President Lyndon Johnson posing with a copy in his office. The image was no longer just a church decoration, it was in schools, libraries, courtrooms, and police stations. It appeared on pencils, bookmarks, greeting cards, church bulletins, lamps, and clocks. It had moved from private devotion into everyday American life. The emotional pull of the painting was part of its success. The Great Depression had left families scarred. World War II had torn families apart. People wanted reassurance. Sallman's Jesus didn't look distant or harsh. He looked calm, gentle, and steady. Religious scholar David Morgan once noted that people described it as though it were a photograph of Jesus. It felt that real to them. Parents hung it above their children's beds. Patients in hospitals looked up at it for comfort. It gave people the sense that someone kind and close was watching over them. By the end of the 20th century, the numbers describing its reach were unbelievable. Anderson University estimated over 500 million reproductions. The appearance of Sallman's Jesus matched the culture of its time. The face had light skin, soft brown hair, a neat beard, and a warm studio-style glow that looked like a family portrait. Scholars traced Sallman's influences back to European artists, especially the French painter Léon Gustin Léry. In mid-20th century America, this familiar look felt safe and trustworthy. But as time went on, people began asking questions. In a diverse country with deep racial divisions, what did it mean that the most widely known Jesus looked like a white European man? Historian Junior Tisby argued that showing only a white Jesus sent a message about who holds power and value. In many black churches, Sallman's image still hung on the walls because older members grew up with it and found comfort in it. For others, however, the face brought pain because it resembled the people who had oppressed them. Out of this tension came new art. Korean painter Kim Ki-chang portrayed Jesus in Korean settings. Sophia Minson in New Zealand painted a Maui Christ. Around the world, artists created versions of Jesus that reflected their own cultures. Sallman's painting did not vanish, but it sparked a broader conversation. The story of the painting even touched pop culture. Decades later, a Chicago photographer walked into a Salvation Army thrift store and spotted two original Sallman works, one oil, one chalk, priced together at just $220. He bought them, confirmed they were authentic, and later sold them to author Jerry Jenkins for $135,000. To some, the painting was just that church picture. To others, it was priceless. Even today, Warner Press, which inherited the copyrights, still sells wallet cards with Sallman's Jesus. Anderson University in Indiana houses the largest collection, including the original Head of Christ and other Sallman works. Visitors can see how a Chicago freelancer ended up creating the most reproduced religious image of modern history. So why did this painting last when so many others faded? The reasons come down to timing, emotion, and distribution. The timing hit during depression and war, when people longed for hope. The emotion came from a face that looked gentle and approachable, more like a trusted friend than a stern judge. The distribution came through USO handouts, bookstores, civic campaigns, and endless reprints. Together, those three factors turned the painting into something more than art. It became a family photo that showed up everywhere people needed reassurance. And then, decades later, another image would arrive, not from a paintbrush, but from a camera. In 2004, when the lights dimmed in theaters and the screen lit up, millions of people walked out carrying a brand new picture of Jesus in their minds, one they could not easily forget.
The film that gave Jesus a new face. In the early 2000s, a brand new face of Jesus spread like wildfire. It didn't come from an old church painting or a medieval icon. It came from a Hollywood movie screen. On February 25, 2004, Mel Gibson released The Passion of the Christ. When the credits rolled, millions of people walked out of theaters carrying the same haunting image. Jim Caviezel is Jesus, beaten, bloodied, crowned with thorns, yet somehow still calm. That face replaced older pictures and almost overnight became the new default image of Jesus for countless people around the world. The movie had a bold twist that set it apart immediately. Not a single line of modern English appeared on screen. Every word was spoken in Aramaic, Hebrew, or Latin. Subtitles gave audiences the meaning, but the voices stayed ancient. Gibson and his co-writer, Benedict Fitzgerald, originally wrote the script in English. Then, a Jesuit scholar at Loyola Marymount University, Reverend William J. Fulco, translated it. He even trained the actors using reconstructed Aramaic for Jewish dialogue and what he called street Latin for the Roman soldiers. Historians pointed out that the film ignored Greek, which was widely spoken at that time and place. Fulco admitted they left it out for artistic reasons. To him, Latin sounded more like what audiences imagined Romans would use. Whatever the reasoning, the gamble paid off. Viewers didn't need a single English speech to feel like they were watching something ancient and raw. Then came the money. The movie cost about $30 million to make. It ended up pulling in around $612 million worldwide. That record made it the highest-grossing religious film in history and the top R-rated film at the US box office for years. No other faith-based movie has come close to those numbers. And it didn't stop when theaters closed. On August 31, 2004, the DVD and VHS hit shelves in North America. In a single day, over 4 million copies were sold. That home release meant Caviezel's bloodied face wasn't just a memory from the theater. It lived on coffee tables, in DVD cabinets, and in church libraries across the country. Families could re-watch it, and every time they did, that face sank deeper into their imagination. Churches played a huge role in making it stick. Long before the film's release, Gibson's team invited pastors to private screenings and gave them kits filled with posters, study guides, and talking points. Congregations bought out theaters by the thousands. The United Methodist News Service described churches hosting group discussions and prayer nights after watching it. A BC News reported how a Christian marketing company distributed promotional packs, posters, videos, and even sermon outlines. Many pastors linked entire series of sermons to the film. Those same still shots from the movie's press materials soon covered bulletin boards, classroom walls, and church foyers. Once a face appears in church life that often, it becomes part of how people picture their faith. The internet only made the spread faster. This was 2004, the golden age of message boards, chain emails, and early blogs. Wired described the campaign as viral before viral was even a buzzword. Supporters created fan pages, posted screen grabs, and shared clips non-stop. It was the digital age version of a printing press. No paper required, just upload and repeat. What really sealed it, though, was the power of Caviezel's performance on screen. His look matched what people already expected: a beard, longer hair, a steady gaze. But it wasn't polished like an oil painting. The camera lingered on bruises, torn skin, and blood-soaked robes. It forced audiences to stare into swollen eyes that somehow still carried gentleness. That rawness made the image unforgettable. Combined with dialogue in unfamiliar ancient languages, the whole package felt real enough that viewers believed they had glimpsed the true face of Jesus. The behind-the-scenes stories only made the legend stronger. Caviezel has openly described the brutal toll of filming. He suffered hypothermia hanging on a cross in cold winds. He dislocated a shoulder during the crucifixion scenes. He battled pneumonia, and in one unforgettable moment, lightning struck during the Sermon on the Mount scene.
Later, Caviezel said the strike caused lasting heart problems that required surgery. He has admitted publicly that the role nearly killed him. When an actor says, "I could have died," it's hard not to see his on-screen suffering differently. The real pain blurred with the movie pain, making the face even harder to forget. Even before filming began, Mel Gibson warned Caviezel that taking the role might damage his career. Caviezel repeated that story in interviews. Fans absorbed it as part of the myth. They saw the actor's willingness to risk his career as another form of sacrifice. Once again, his on-screen face became more than acting. It became a symbol. The internet fanned the flames. Fan sites popped up within days, some logging millions of visits. Supporters pooled money for radio ads and organized group screenings. Even people who never saw the movie recognized Caviezel's thorn-crowned profile just from seeing it online so many times. Of course, not everyone praised the film. Critics were divided, and interfaith groups voiced serious concerns about how it told the story. But even negative reviews agreed on one thing: it filled theaters and left people shaken. That kind of cultural impact guaranteed its visuals would outlive the film itself. That is how a movie actor's face ended up taped on church walls and tucked into wallets alongside old prayer cards. Over time, two dominant images of Jesus began to define modern devotion. One came from a painting, Warner Sallman's Head of Christ from 1940, reproduced hundreds of millions of times. The other came from a film, Jim Caviezel's face in 2004, shared through theaters, DVDs, and the internet. Both spread because they gave people comfort when they needed it most. Once a picture becomes the one you look at during prayer or in moments of pain, it is nearly impossible to forget. That is why today, when you see Caviezel's profile hanging in a church lobby or printed on a small card, it isn't just movie merchandise anymore. For many, it has become something deeper, a personal anchor, a reminder of sacrifice and suffering. One film, stripped of English dialogue and carried by ancient languages, minted a new face of Jesus for the internet age. And even after 20 years, that face has not faded. But movies are still movies. They frame a moment, light it carefully, and choose one face. If we want to know what a first-century Jewish craftsman really looked like, his build, his clothes, the daily work that shaped him, we need to step out of the theater and into real historical evidence. And that's exactly where the story turns next.